So super cheesed because I recorded this episode on a different platform and it's like I didn't even do anything at all. So here we are, starting again. As you know, my name is T, and we're having tea with T, and it's been a while, I know, because life has definitely been lifing. Um, there is a book and an author that I really wanted to share with you guys. Her name is Michelle Alexander. She's a human rights lawyer in the United States, huge activist. Um, and she wrote the book, The New Jim Crow. And the way that she contextualizes a lot of the information, the manner in which, you know, information is being shared, it is profound, it is phenomenal. Like, no words. I literally have to read a couple of excerpts for you. And yeah, here it goes. What I have said in nearly every place I've visited is that we must do what is required of all liberation struggles, educate ourselves and others, speak unpopular truths, provide support for those who have been harmed, and organize against the systems that seek to oppress, control, and divide us. We must demand reparations for current and past wrongs, open our hearts and minds to one another, and heal our communities as best we can. We must act with great courage, as well as compassion and humility, for none of us have all the answers. Ultimately, our goal must be to reimagine what justice can and should mean in our communities and our nation as a whole, a task that requires the participation and leadership of those who have suffered most. There's no roadmap, no guidebook. We must make do with the lessons of history and carry forward the struggles of earlier generations, guided by a moral compass that honors dignity and value of us all. So there's another concept where there's e-carceration, which turns entire communities into open-air digital prisons. And the development of this looks predictable. We're already doing it in the form of ankle bracelets, right? Confining people to a specific zone. And there's a historian whose name is Kelly Little Hernandez, and she wrote this essay, Amnesty or Abolition, Felons, Illegals, and the Case for a New Abolition Movement, where she talks about how these systems have emerged as dual interlocking forms of social control that relegate aliens and felons to a racialized caste of outsiders. The system of mass incarceration created a legal framework by which the rights and benefits of citizenship are routinely stripped away from millions of U.S. citizens labeled criminals and felons until they mirror those of non-citizen immigrants within the United States. And everyone talks about, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms as it pertains to Canadians, and any other, Constitution. But the Constitution states that protection is only warranted towards men or citizens. So once you are no longer a citizen, those rights do not apply to you. So there's a huge push to make you second class. And with, information and data being readily available and collectible, people that are now associated with you are going to be forecasted as people that could potentially be harmful and dangerous just, out of affiliation. So it further isolates people that are looking to reintegrate to society. In the same breath, there's no real incentive for people to line up and get employment. What I'm trying to say is, because of those restrictions, you now are almost pushed down the pathway of being an entrepreneur, right? And you can leverage things on the internet, right? Buying, selling, moving products. And so what I'm trying to get at is that, again, every single space that you occupy is extremely important, whether it's at the corporate table, whether it's at a nonprofit table, whether you are a custodian, it doesn't matter. When you are a part of a workforce or an entrepreneur, some sort of interaction with anyone outside of yourself, we have an obligation to speak for those who do not have a voice, to speak to those and for those that are being consistently oppressed and marginalized, because the fact that you think it won't be you next is just like insane. You need to fathom that from time to time, the othering of people will come around. And what we want is community, because when it comes to the division of people, then you focus on the division. And the larger issue at play kind of gets swept under the rug. And that's something we want to avoid. So my encouragement to you is read this book, The New Jim Crow. Every single chapter is very heavy. So take your time, read through it, and just remember all the spaces that we occupy, extremely important. Even if you're a student and you're like, oh, I haven't, done anything professionally as yet, even you being a student, all your experiences, the intersectionalities that come with you are very important and experiences that need to be at the table. And yeah, that's the episode for today. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to be more consistent with this, even if it's me rambling about nothing.